Now let's talk about placing an information security in an organization. In a large organization, information security is normally implemented and it is located in the IT department. Normally, it is headed by the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, who reports directly to the Chief Information Officer. So normally in this structure, the goal and objective of the CISO and CIO are closely aligned. But sometimes information security program is sometimes at odds with the goal and objective of the IT department as a whole. So sometimes the goal and objective of the CIO and CISO may be in conflict. So nowadays there is a movement to separate the information security from the IT division. So this is very understandable because if the goal of and objective of the CIO and CISO are not the same and they are in conflict, then you need to have a separate division of IT and information security department. The challenge is to design a reporting structure for the information security program that balance the needs of each of the communities of the interest. So a lot of executives, they also mentioned that they want to have a separate IT and information security function. A survey that has been conducted by Meta Group, it found that only 3% of the consulting firm's client position the information security department outside the IT. The client views the positioning as what a forward-thinking organization should do. The challenge, though, is to design a reporting structure for the information security program that balances the need of all these communities of interest. So this option is basically an option that 33% of the organization worldwide use this reporting relationship. In this reporting relationship, basically, you see that the information security department reports to the information technology department. So the information security department manager reports directly to Chief Information Officer, or basically sometimes we may call it VP of IT. So this is basically a 33% of the organization use this kind of a reporting. There are some advantages to this model. One of them is that there's only one manager between the information security department manager and the CEO. And generally that's the CIO. Also because the information security department staff, they need to spend a great deal of time with the information technology department staff. So it's more convenient. But one of the flaws of this model is that sometimes because the information technology manager could have a conflict of interest. So when the CIO is confronted with resource allocated decision, normally it is going to spend more money and resources on the IT, and that's against the information security function. So the IT manager needs to see the information security as just another technologically specialty in the IT department. So it can treat it as a routine technical matter, like, data administration or network administration and things like that. Also in here, you can see that there is a dotted line between the information security department manager and the reporting relationship between the information security management committee. This is highly recommended, but sometimes in a smaller organization, this is actually missing. So a committee of this nature is normally a good idea because it can provide a lot of management direction and, there would be a communication path with the rest of the organization. But one of the drawbacks of using such a committee is that it may take longer to get the management approval for certain initiatives that the security department might have. Here you see another option that is basically it's a popular option and involves the information security department reporting to the security department. In this case, the information security function is perceived to be primary protective. and therefore comparable to physical security department as well as the personal security and safety department. In this type of model, sometimes you might see that the people in the organization, they call the information security department information protection department. So this model is desirable because it can facilitate communication with others who have both a security perspective and related security responsibility. This can help with incident investigation as well as reaching practical solutions to the problems such as laptop, computer theft, and physical security. This is also desirable because it brings a long-term preventive viewpoint to the information security activities, which in turn is likely to lower the overall security cost. There are also some faults with this model as well. It's true that when you look at the information security and physical security, they kind of might be aligned, but there is a different culture between these two. For instance, information security staff, they see themselves as a high-tech worker, whereas physical security staff, they see themselves as participating in criminal justice system. So this cultural difference may cause some kind of an information security specialist to feel that it's not appropriate to be managed by a specialist in a physical security, which most of the time they have a background of the security department manager. This option is also undesirable because most of the company's budget for physical security hasn't increased over the past few years, but the budget for the information security has rapidly increased. By combining these two departments under the security department umbrella, top managers may underestimate the resource that is needed for the information security function. So another problem is that the department manager will often lack an appreciation of the information system technology. So there might be a poor communicator with the top manager. On balance, we can say that this organization structure is kind of acceptable, but not as desirable as the other models. As we have seen, both of the options that we have discussed so far, they have some of their problems. So now we are going to talk about option 3, which is a significant improvement over both of the options that we just talked about. The Information Security Department reports to the Administrative Service Department, which sometimes they can call it administrative support. So the Information Security Department Manager reports to the Administrative Service Department Manager, or sometimes we call them Vice President of Administration. In this model, it sees the administrative services as a kind of an advisory role and perform services for workers throughout the company, such as it is kind of the same as the human resource department. This option is more desirable because there is only one middle manager between the Information Security Department manager and the CEO. This approach also is advisable because it acknowledges that information and information security are found everywhere in the company, and that workers in the company are expected to work with the Information Security Department. Another option that maybe people like this model is because it supports the effort to secure information no matter in whatever forms it is, if it's on the paper, verbal, or etc. So it just doesn't see the information security function as strictly to the computer and network-oriented security. Of course, this model is not going to be fit for those companies that if the information security problems encounter, then they might actually suffer extremely or even go out of business, such as the .com companies. These companies, for these companies, this option doesn't give information security the prominence it deserves. also it doesn't give the strategic and long-term focus that the information security requires in these companies. So this option is not very good for these companies, the .com companies. So this type of model is more recommended for those companies that are not highly information intensive, such as maybe chain restaurants. They can take advantage of this model. But for the .coms and those companies that are relying on information, then maybe other option is more advisable for them. Okay, now let's talk about another option. In this model, as you can see, the Information Security Department can report to the Insurance and Risk Management Department. With this approach, the Information Security Department Manager reports to Chief Risk Manager, or CRM. Now they call, this is also another new function in a lot of organizations. Or the VP of Risk and Insurance Management. Insurance Management, Risk and Insurance Management is now a new field, and also there are degrees that are available for information security management as well. This option is very desirable because it can actually have an integrated risk management perspective. With this viewpoint, a centralized perspective prioritizes and compares all the risk in the company. So the application of this model typically involves assessing the extent of potential losses and likelihood of losses across all the functional departments, including information security, physical security, legal, audit, customer relation, accounting, finance, human resources, payroll, and etc. The intention is to see the big picture and be able to allocate resources to the department and risk management effort that most need these resources. Also, another desirable option is because it can involve only one middle manager between the Information Security Department manager and the CEO. The CRM is also likely to be prevention-oriented, adopt a long-term viewpoint, and is enabled to engage the CEO in a discussion about risk acceptance. Basically, risk acceptance means you do nothing. Risk mitigation, you can actually control it, or risk transfer means maybe you transfer your risk or buy insurance. CRM is also likely to be comfortable thinking about the future and generation scenario reflecting a number of different capabilities, including such as some scenarios such as denial of service attack. So, but one of the drawbacks of this is that CRM is not normally familiar with the information system technology, and sometimes they might need some special coaching or some sort of a ground research from the Information Security Department manager to make important points with the CEO. Another problem or drawbacks of this approach is that its focus is strategic, and the operational and administrative aspects of information security may not get those attention that they deserve. So this is actually recommended for organizations that are information intensive, such as bank, stock brokerage, or research institution. Look at option 5. In option 5, this is actually a very viable option for .com enterprises. And I am going to let you know the reasons in a second. In this model, the Information Security Department manager reports directly to the VP of Strategic and Planning. So this model views the information security function as critical to the success of the organization. So this option is appropriate for the .com or credit card company, which they are critically dependent on the success of information security function. So this option is very desirable because it can involve only one middle manager between the Information Security Department management and the CEO. So, and also the vice president of the security reports to the CEO. Also, another reason why this is desirable is because it underscores the need for documented information security requirements, such as policies, standard procedures that can apply to the whole organization. Same as option 3 and 4, this reporting structure also acknowledged the multi-department and multidisciplinary nature of information security, such as risk analysis, incident investigation, and so on. So this option is also advisable because the Information Security Department works with other part of the organization as well. So another desirable aspect is that it implicitly communicates that information security is very important, and the management and the people. And it's not a technological issue. So it is an issue of the management and people. So they need to also be supportive, and they need to get the training and all that. Again, this could also be a problem if the workers in the Information Technology Department consider the staff in the Information Security Department to be management-oriented and out of reach with the technology. Then again, they can communicate that to the management, which is a misconception. Another problem with this is that the focus is strategic, and the operational and administrative perspective of information security is actually doesn't get that attention that they deserve from the VP of Strategic and Planning. Of course, this cannot be the option for all the organization, but those .com companies or credit companies, they can actually benefit from this type of organization chart. There are other options that also the companies can choose. The legal department, this option emphasizes on the copyright, patents, trademark, intellectual property protection mechanism, and so on. And the advantage of this reporting structure is that the member of the legal team are comfortable with developing, documenting policies and procedures. Another option would be the internal auditing department, which can report directly to the IA internal auditing manager. Also, internal audit is charged with reviewing the work that can be done by other units, including the Information Security Department. This reporting structure also can have a conflict of interest. Another option would be under the help desk, which this option is not advised at all. The help desk is a lower level technical group that doesn't get much support from the top management, attention or respect. And then another option would be under accounting and finance via the Information Technology Department. This is also not very desirable because the Information Security Department would be buried deep in the hierarchy of the organization, and it would not get the attention that it needs. Another option would be under the Human Resource Department, that both groups develop policies and must be followed by workers in the organization. Also, this is not very advisable because the position of Information Security Department is focusing a lot on the information systems, and the HR managers, they know a little bit about the technology and the information system. And another option would be reporting to the Facility Management Department, or sometimes they call it the buildings. With this org chart, the Information Security Department is seen by top management as an asset protection, much like Physical Security Department. So they look at it as mostly like physical security. Another option would be the operation, under the operation. So the Information Security Department manager can report to the Chief Operating Officer. So in this approach, the information security is a line of management responsibility and a topic that all department managers must consider into day-to-day activities, which is kind of reasonable. So these are other options that we can discuss about. So this is it for this part of the chapter. In the next part, we are going to actually look at the components of the security program.